It is a period of civil war. Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base have won their first victory against the evil galactic empire, which has banned red dye number 40. During the battle, rebel spies managed to steal secret plans to the empire's ultimate weapon, beef tallow, a secret ingredient that will boost the testosterone levels of every man in the country. Pursued by the empire's sinister agents, Ronald McDonald races home aboard his starship, custodian of the stolen plans that can save the people and restore red dye 40 to American McDonald's everywhere. Hello, everybody. Welcome to TF. It is Riley. It is Milo. It is Devon subbing in for November, who is moving.
Yes. Yeah. Yo, what's up? I'm the other queer person that we know.
And it is our guest, returning champion, one half of This Machine Kills pod. It is Ed Ongweso Jr. Ed, how's it going?
It's going great. Great to be back here with you guys.
Pleasure to have you.
What are you doing now in RFK's America, where there are going to be mandatory push-ups, high fructose corn syrup out of sodas, and of course, red dye number 40, as illegal as black tar heroin?
I'm hoarding every box of Fruit Loops I possibly can. You know, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, you were doing that before the election, though.
Right. you know, for my move to Canada also, where they don't have Fruit Loops.
Can't be too careful.
This is my favorite thing, the modern right are doing, where they're just like, please let me live in the pod. Please let me eat the bugs. If you take my cochineal away, I'm going to go ape shit.
Yeah. Just seeing him on the private plane eating the McDonald's, being like, okay, so that's your humiliation ritual then. That's how you're showing Trump that you're cool.
Man, RFK should just move to the UK. Like, the amount of stuff you can get with beef tallow in it here, because people in this country just do not care about collapsing from a stroke age 56. Like, he could go to RFK, because I want to take RFK on a date to a Harry Ramsden's, and for about 18 pounds, he can eat enough stuff cooked in beef tallow to kill him instantly. And maybe that's what he wants.
You know, for the humiliation ritual, I feel like he's eating McDonald's now every fucking day, right? Because doesn't Trump love it? Doesn't he have boxes and boxes of it?
It's one of his safe foods that, like, you know, it's
they're not going to
all he
poison
can get away with.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Trump is neurodivergent, and he has to comfort himself by McDonald's.
Yeah, that's his comfort meal.
Anyway, we're really happy to have Ed with us. We're also really happy to have Devon with us.
Thank you.
And
I would have kicked up.
Before we go further, though, also, do you love the combination of us and Devon? Would you love if that combination contained November as well? What if that combination of people, along with producer Nate, was going to be reading, or I was going to be reading excerpts from the Boris Johnson book Unleashed, live in London on
that's
Sunday.
right. It's the official book launch of Boris Johnson's book.
On Sunday. Always wanted to say that. We've never had a live show on a Sunday before.
There you go.
Sunday.
That's right.
And there is going to be a dirt bike race also.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we didn't clear that with them, but like we figure when the dirt bikes get there, they will be powerless.
It's too late. How are they going to catch us? They didn't bring dirt bikes.
Exactly.
They didn't bring dirt
and
bikes.
If they did bring dirt
then
bikes,
they'd just be racing us.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy.
And there's the event right there.
Dirt bikes numbered 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah.
Of course. And now, the other thing is, I've decided this. Whoever comes in the best, like, American or British sports costume, not a sports player, a sports fan, you know I'm talking foam fingers, beer helmets, stuff like this, is going to get a copy of Ian Duncan
Shirtless
Smith's...
with big drum.
Yeah, stuff like that. Is going to get a copy of Ian Duncan Smith's book, The Devil's Tune, signed by me.
Only by you.
And Milo.
The other
and
members of the cast won't sign it.
Everyone will sign Ian Duncan Smith's book, The Devil's Tune, and we will give it to whoever I think has, or we think has, the best sports fan ensemble.
You also get to go to dinner with Ian Duncan Smith to discuss his plans for the Devil Tunes to Devil 2 Tune.
You will get to go to dinner with Ian Duncan Smith. We won't organize that for you.
Once again, we haven't cleared that, but I reckon if you show up with the dirt bike.
Yeah. If you can chase Ian Duncan Smith down on a dirt bike, he's powerless to resist.
He's powerless to resist your invitation to dinner.
That's right. Yeah. Hop on, Ian. I said hop on.
That's right.
If you can read this, Ian Duncan Smith fell off.
Yeah. Taking him to Harry Ramsden's.
I'm going on a date to Harry Ramsden's with Ian Duncan Smith and RFK Jr. And we're just going to be drinking cups of beef tallow.
Yeah, that's
raw
right.
milk. Don't forget the raw milk.
That's right.
I love RFK Jr. Absolutely my favorite of a like incoming crowd of new freaks we're going to have to deal with for years. It's wonderful.
I mean, I think we could take beef tallow and raw milk and make something called the white American instead of your white Russian, you know? Pretty good
reckon-
cocktail.
Okay.
I'll purify the racial stock of this country. Don't worry about it.
Finally.
This has just occurred to me, but do you reckon that RFK Jr. is trying to like resist the like assassination prophecy for all Kennedys, but you in like a sort of the manner of a Greek tragic figure, and he's like, if I consume nothing but raw milk and beef tallow, my own body will surely give out before any potential assassin can get to me. It's the only way to break our family's curse.
Yeah. Once again, it's the equivalent of shooting the moon in hearts.
Yeah, RFK's financed an expedition to the Eastern Sea to search for the elixir of immortality.
I want to talk about a few items here. We have a little bit of news, a little bit of politics. I have a season 1 startup. And then if we have time,
Yes.
I have a really fun article from the Financial Times on the parallel economy. The parallel economy, of course, being the right-wing Christian economy. Bits of it we've talked about before. But first, everyone's fave, I'm afraid, is no longer the GOAT. Nadim Al-Nasser, the CEO of Neom, has been fired, effective immediately.
Damn.
Oh no.
I can't believe it happened. But no, this is the board of Neom didn't provide an answer as to why it abruptly replaced CEO Nadim Al-Nasser over the weekend.
He crossed the line.
Yeah. But apparently what happened, the reason they fired him is that he was not able to get it done on budget, apparently.
For real.
Wow.
Oh, money is real now in Saudi Arabia. Fuck.
Oh, I just scoffed so loud that it damaged my wisdom tooth wound. Genuinely. That's what I do for you, Hogs.
Fuck.
Yeah. Ow.
Workplace injury.
Claiming on our employer's liability insurance.
Damn it.
But former Neom employees said that Nasser frequently clashed with Neom's owner and funder, the Saudi Public Investment Fund, over its swelling budget. On an October investor call, the Danish freight company DSV said the start of significant work on a $10 billion planned logistics venture with Neom was now going to be delayed. The company's CEO, Jens Lund, had the following to say, "We will see. I'm sure they want to complete or reach the milestones they've set out. Otherwise, they would announce something."
Right.
I like that on this podcast we say kind of like slightly weird like Dutch and Nordic names like with the 3 brackets around them.
Jens Lund.
That's the only group we discriminate against is like low countries and Scandinavians.
Jens Lund. What are you doing out there?
Northern Europeans are always making everybody eat their Nord slop.
That's right.
Says, I'm sure that they'll want to compete or reach the milestones they've set out. Otherwise, they'd say something. But the next steps in Neom are unclear. However, its leader is going to be an executive who comes from the Public Investment Fund. I am certain
Ooh.
that the bean counter or pencil pusher they put in charge of Neom is definitely going to be able to complete it on time and under budget. Because the last guy, who, if you remember, managed the work by hiring a bunch of criminals and sex pests and waving a gun at anybody who questioned his authority, I guess he wasn't enough.
It's cool. It's so cool to be building a fantasy project in the closest thing to Mordor on this planet and be concerned with the budget. That's the one concern they have.
Yeah.
Not the thousands of slaves they're going to bury in the giant hole they build in the desert. Just make sure you cut costs.
Sauron looking at the project management folder and being like, I don't like the KPIs on this fucking tower that we're building here. This is why didn't you come to me with this earlier? These Gantt charts are fuck.
Yeah. Hey, it said it was going to take 500 billion, but now you're saying $2 trillion.
All this for a ladder to the moon? Come on, I thought we could bring this in a lot more cheaply.
Yeah. However, they are planning to press ahead with at least trying to compete the 400 meter above ground stadium, but then there just won't be anything else around it.
Just in the middle of the fucking desert. A fucking stadium on stilts.
Yep.
Oh, that's evil.
I think that's
a bad country, folks.
yeah. I mean, that's the best description of Saudi Arabia I've ever heard, which is the closest thing we have to Mordor that exists. And so, of course, this happened a couple weeks ago, and we didn't mention it, but I think it's worth mentioning now because we're going to do a little more sort of Elon Musk stuff as we go. But he went to go speak at the Saudi investment conference that we talked about a few weeks ago, where, if you'll remember, However, we still haven't gotten that question answered if the sitting Labour MP went to go visit Neom days after it had been announced that there was an extremely high number of worker fatalities there. You know, that guy that just never answered that question.
And an unfair dismissal. Yeah. So, you know, come on.
Anyway, at this conference, Elon Musk gave a big talk about how Saudi Arabia was going to start up a big, huge AI investment fund, $100 billion. This time it's going to work. They're going to, $40 billion of it is going to be co-invested with Andreessen Horowitz, which means I guess they've learned nothing from the Vision Fund. Nothing.
This is just the Vision Fund.
It's
the Vision Fund, but like a based Vision Fund. Masayoshi Son was too lib and was too nice. They need to do the based Vision Fund, which is basically what they're now announcing.
Fuck yes.
Elon Musk raised what I think was my favorite concern ever to raise in front of like a bunch of Saudi royals investing in something, which is in the West, all of the AI is woke. The Saudi AI can't be woke.
Fuck.
Incredible.
This motherfucker, he's already got grok. How unwoke does he want this next AI to be?
Imagine being beheaded by Clippy. That's really a new...
What is the wokest thing a Saudi AI could possibly say?
Not touching this.
Right in.
What on earth could you possibly... What is your frame of reference? If you are a Saudi royal...
to see Black Panther 2 this weekend. You should go check it out with your friends.
Crown Prince. I just spoke to our new AI that was trained on all of our chat apps and stuff, and it said Ruth Konda forever. What's going on? I want to get to some UK news, some UK news, because of course everybody in the UK, especially people who are Labour aligned columnists and opinion formers, and people like the news agents and stuff, these people are all trying to digest the lesson that they are desperate to digest from the Trump victory a couple weeks ago. And Peter Mandelson, now being interviewed on the News Agents podcast, said a number of things that are worth comment. Number one, how come Emily Maitlis didn't ask him about all those pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein? How come nobody asked Peter Mandelson about all those pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein? First of all,
we just had to let the Epstein stuff go. Yeah. Basically, we just decided it was fine. It would have been great ammunition against the right, but too many of our own guys are on it. So we were like, well, that's fine. We just will never bring up Epstein again.
So we have to move on. The longer we focus on this Epstein, the longer a woman sits in jail, unfair treatment as the face of this global sex trafficking operation.
Exactly.
It's ironic, really, that the only guy they're willing to have a pop at in the UK for Epstein stuff is Prince Andrew. When you look at it this way, he's the one who has the closest to the mind of a child of any of the people who are wrapped up in it. Why not? Why can't we go after some of the guys with a more normal level intellect who are also on the island?
Yeah, that's well. Who can we say about Mandy? But I guess they just ran out of time before they were going to ask about the Epstein stuff.
Yeah.
Because you know how Emily Maitlis is herself a crusading journalist against figures who are associated with Jeffrey Epstein in the UK.
Absolutely.
Several movies have been made about it, and yet here Peter Mandelson is going on her podcast being asked the questions he wants to be asked.
I'm sorry, the big news agent's countdown clock has bonged and I can't ask you any of the Epstein questions.
Peter Mandelson gets the treatment from Emily Maitlis that Prince Andrew wanted, essentially. Right. That's the interview that happens whenever they fucking talk to Peter Mandelson.
Yeah. Emily Maitlis asking Peter Mandelson questions while sat precariously at the top of a very buttery staircase. And he's like, now be very careful what you ask me.
Peter Mandelson told the News Agents podcast that Labour should, quote, redouble our efforts to connect with Elon Musk because he is now too influential to ignore, saying Elon Musk was probably wound up in prime by Labour's political opponents, namely Rishi Sunak and the Conservative Party, to influence the UK general election. What I'm saying is that if it were the case that Mr. Musk was influenced against Labour, then we would need to redouble our efforts to connect with him so that he sees us for what we are, which is a good, strong, responsible government trying to bring about economic and industrial change in this country that we want him to be part of. I certainly think we need to connect because he's frankly got too big a footprint in too many industrial areas for us to simply ignore him, so you can have whatever views you want about his view of the world or whatever.
We were so close. Like if they'd lost, he might have done it and everything. But instead, we have to fucking hear about how he's going to be central to the UK for the next 5 years or something instead. Great. Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, increasingly, and this is true with Musk more than any other big tech CEO, even like Bezos, right? Is that Musk is talked about like he is a nation state.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Like, well, you know what? Elon Musk has, well, I guess he's built a nuclear missile, so I suppose we're going to have to just give him a seat at the UN. And if you've been watching Musk for a while, and you've been thinking about Musk for a while, you know what he stood to gain personally from being involved in the UK election so closely. Like, the bet he put on Trump was 130 times the size of the equivalent bet that Peter Thiel put on Trump for essentially a puppet master role in the organization, getting to pick the second term VP, all that stuff. Musk brought in way more. And now, like, the opinion of the kind of respectable end of the Labour Party, the part of the Labour Party that's in government, the part that's very influential to like Starmer, is that, well, Musk is now inevitable. He's a fact of nature. Again, the point of politics is not to say, hey, it shouldn't be the case that this one fucking Redditor is able to control all space launches and just accepting that as a brute fact, rather than saying, hey, maybe there should be a parallel civilian capacity that's politically controlled, unrelated to the Redditor.
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
Absolutely not. We need to have the world's richest man backing every single thing that we do because he's the world's richest man.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, I think a real highlight, I think, of Silicon Valley's sort of march over the past decade or two is, yes, this ability to convince politicians that they've been at war with, that they've undermined, that they have, made subservient to whatever demands that they impose or lobbying efforts that they unleash, that you need us even more and you need to become even more subservient, more dependent on us so that you can realize your real potential or whatever. And convincing them to just offer that themselves, right? Musk now doesn't even really have to lobby a lot of these states that are coming out and going to preemptively say that. They're already going to be looking for ways to placate him. Maybe I can appoint someone that used to work with him. Maybe I can do this contract with one of his companies. Maybe we can roll out the red carpet for him. It's going to be this on steroids for the next few years.
Unless
someone does something.
I was going to say, unless Elon Musk removes himself from the Trump administration by being too annoying.
Right.
I don't think he's making it to inauguration. Like, he's got a lot of pressure working on his side. He is the richest man in the world. He owns X. X.com, the everything app, of course.
And you do everything on there, so you need this guy.
But he is so annoying. And we know that Trump does not like to hang out with people that annoy him. Like, we've seen a bunch of pictures of him hanging out with his, like, top 4 boys. And, like, where the fuck is JD Vance? I've just never seen JD in any of his huddles.
Elon is so annoying, he makes me want to hang out with my own son. I don't know. He's that bad, folks. He even Don Jr. is relatively tolerable.
Can you imagine how happy he was when he got the go-ahead for the Doge fucking government department?
Oh, my God.
Genuinely keeps me up at night sometimes. Think about that man being happy. Him and Vivek finally cutting through that red tape, baby. It's going to be working efficiently.
You guys think it's really likely he'll be too annoying? Part of me is worried that he's going to try to figure out a way to insulate himself or maybe work on building parallel processes. But then there's also already a bit of a fight going on because the code transition chair, Lutnick, is jockeying or trying. I was reading that he was trying to establish ways to cut out Trump. So it's like, okay, you got this guy cutting out Trump. You got Musk coming in, walking around like he's co-president.
Yeah.
Who's going to be more annoying first?
I mean, the other thing about Howard Lutnick is that he's just not some random guy. I mean, Howard Lutnick is deeply involved in Tether, the stable coin.
Completely legitimate company.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
He's completely involved in the thing that kept printing in order to pump Bitcoin in the last 10 years and whose reserves turned out to be unauditable. Could have been a bunch of receipts and gum. That's now done, by the way. It's likely that Tether is very strongly backed because they lasted long enough and they bought a bunch of stuff that appreciated in value. But at the time, it was the bit of financial magic that transformed some used gum and old receipts into $1 trillion.
Haha, no, Tether actually survived due to luck.
Yeah.
There.
Anyway. So Lutnick, who is the Treasury bill custodian for Tether and was the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald and 9/11 survivor, by the way.
Oh, I mean, we're all 9/11 survivors in a way.
I mean, Bitcoin is another 9/11 if you think about it.
Cantor Fitzgerald was at the top floor of the World Trade Center and he was late for work. He was late for work that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, well, I thought you meant he was out on the top floor at the time, because that's a hell of a get out.
Yeah. Toast in your mouth running towards 9/11.
The first plane's already hit, but you're like, well, I work in the second tower, so I'll just
probably fine. Well, what are they going to hit both towers in one day? Come on.
Oh my God.
Statistically, it's less likely now the first tower's been hit.
Also, if you're Lutnick and it's like 2001, you're not CEO at the time. You want to show you have hustle mindset. So you're like, they've hit the other tower. I'm still going to go to work because I believe in this company and I want to show my devotion.
It would be so funny if he was like in Tower 7 or something. You know, he sees the first one. Yeah, he's like, huh. First, second one, huh? Oh, you know what?
Okay.
I'm gonna go to my secondary office, this field in Pennsylvania. What's really funny about this is that he, as a 9/11 survivor, quote unquote, had the same morning as the 20th hijacker. Like, oh fuck! I'm late for work. Shit.
The best answer to that is they both cut each other off.
The guy with a toast in his mouth.
Everyone's got toast. They're all running. No, it's that they both come to a T-junction and cut each other off and can't stop arguing because they both have really important stuff to get to.
Yeah.
This is, of course, some more reporting on Musk at Mar-a-Lago. Musk traveled to Mar-a-Lago, and he's basically been there for weeks, all hours, sitting with Trump, not leaving him alone. The sources said that Musk's near constant presence has begun to wear on people.
Yeah.
As it would.
Yeah, people are seeing him as overstepping his role in the transition.
Don't make me feel sorry for people who work for Donald Trump that they have to spend this much time with Elon Musk. And I do. I'm like, that is honestly a fate worse than death. That is worse than they deserve. Even
the worst
working
part.
with Donald
You
Trump.
just win the election, and Elon rolls up with the fucking sink. Don't worry. Like, I thought they were going to do it on election night because he was spending the night with Trump. Eventually, they will put him in the 4chan lowly laser torch cube, right? Just, it'll be a bit, but he is annoying enough. He will be put in it. Don't worry. Trust the process.
He's behaving as if he's co-president and making sure everyone knows it. And he's taking a lot of credit for the president's victory, bragging about his PAC and X the everything app to everyone he'll listen. And he's trying to make President Trump feel indebted to him, and the president is indebted to nobody.
An amazing line at the end of that, the president is indebted to nobody. It's...
Remember, we're talking to sycophants, right?
Yeah.
He's very indebted to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Another person said Musk has, quote, an opinion on everything, and he shares them so forcefully that has begun to pester everybody else around him. Trump once joked about Elon's continued presence, not once, Joey, in this course of the research of this article, saying, quote, Elon won't go home. I just can't get rid of him. You can get rid of him. You're the president. You can have him put in the big cube.
He's going in a brazen bull before January ends. Don't worry about it.
Or Inauguration Day.
On Inauguration Day. We're not doing the poetry shit, all right? We're putting Musk in a contraption.
We're gonna rotisserie chicken this South African.
Now we're fucking talking. All right.
Elon's like your kid's friend from school who has the troubled home life and they don't have a PlayStation. We're just like, is he gonna go home at some point?
Lawmakers close to Elon insisted that Trump's statements were made in jest. So
right. He's just negging him.
Yeah. No, they're best friends. It's like a dog that's just all tooth and snarling. It's like, oh, he likes you.
Right.
Yeah. You see, this XL bully's only latched onto your arm because he doesn't want to let you go because he thinks you're really cool.
He cares about you.
Yeah.
Elon Musk has yappy small dog energy, and Trump is an XL bully.
A very old and decrepit XL bully, but one that still has some jaw strength left.
He could still eat a couple of toddlers.
Yeah. Now, what else did Peter Mandelson say? Going back from Elon Musk.
Speaking of eating toddlers.
He also said the Democrats lost because they were too preoccupied with identity politics to address the average American's concerns. I remember that campaign. Did you remember that campaign?
I remember this campaign,
The campaign that actually happened. And that Labor is very lucky that it didn't get a similar drubbing. But also, this is Nicholas Tyrone, who is a centrist Spectator columnist. So what a great hang. Said that bafflingly, the U.S. election proves the old adage that elections are won from the center. Remember?
They just won one from the far right. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are we on about?
Let's watch the center lose, just now, actually.
Well, he said, over the last decade, the center left has made the same glaring mistakes over and over again. But the exception is Starmer. He rejected most of the far left weirdness and won big. I think there's a pretty simple lesson for Democrats, and therefore Labor, because this is a UK columnist. Either they want to do things like give every American access to healthcare without having to file for bankruptcy, or they want to continue fighting the losing end of a culture war. anymore. It's up to them. And basically goes to support the idea that we're like living in the post-woke age, which I hope no one ever says these words to me again, but it's not enough to be not woke. You must be anti-woke. So that appears to be it. But that's largely because, right? Vaguely progressive celebrities, vaguely progressive parties, college kids, anti-war protesters, people who work in HR, your nephew, tend to be grouped by people into a big mass of progressiveness to hate and fear and like vote against at the ballot box. And this is something also that John Harris, he's written an article about this, right? It came out a while ago. I was wondering whether or not to talk about it. I've decided to do that now, which is like, well, I guess people hate the left forever. And his argument is, around the world, the left looks to many voters like a coherent bloc that goes from people who lie in the road and shut down universities to would-be presidents and prime ministers. And that the left is now alienating huge chunks of its old base of support. But the argument that he makes, right? The actual argument that he makes, hilariously, because 2017 never ended, is people have to be nicer on X, the everything app. That's the conclusion.
Awesome. Yes.
Firstly.
This is what I was getting. Yeah, 100%. That'll deal with that.
No more dunks.
But basically he says, look, the problem is that progressiveness in general, leftiness in general, whatever you want to call it, by the way, which I, John Harris, am very much a part of, all of that has coalesced around everybody who the right doesn't like. And you just have to accept that framing because it's like, well, if like some like fucking like university does like a meat-free Monday, that's going to make people vote for the rights. You can't, if you're a university, like Students Union,
exactly.
and you're doing meat-free Monday, do you want Nigel Farage to win? Do you want Trump to be president? Because all of that is going to make them hate us more. But again, because John is a stupid person, he does not understand that this is not the symptom of like the left being too demanding. By the way, the left read as not just parties and unions and political organizations with message and discipline, but just like anybody is now responsible as a political party for the left, which is why his only prescription is be nicer online, right? Because that's all you can say if you're taking the John Harris point of view, is to then be like, well, no, the problem is there is no left. The problem is politically there isn't one. And so it's just, there's this big hole where the ideology would usually go that the right, which is allowed to set the agenda everywhere because these left-wing parties, nominally progressive parties, are controlled by triangulating liberals, that the right just gets to put ideology in, and then the liberals keep triangulating around it.
I think it's great. I think it's really great that the Democrats and Labor are getting advice from like nonce number 5, from like some random motherfucker who cannot understand party dynamics and the shift of the country in either countries, right? And from right-wing freaks who would be happy just, using punch cards at the racism computer. I was already worried, I think, with the election because this would codify and cement a lot of the moves, a lot of the signals that Silicon Valley and its right-wing ideologues have been sending out. But to just see the way in which people are prostrating themselves and jumping over one another to agree with or go further than what or misreading the election is a bit worrying.
Well, it's also amusing for like a British columnist to like watch Keir Starmer's victory and be like, I'm going to go over to America and tell them how we did it or whatever, and then go over there, tell them how we did it. They eat shit badly, like just completely fuck up, lose badly, and he comes back over here and is like, we've got a lot to learn from that, such as how I was right to begin with. The left need to shut up.
Yeah, the exact same campaign.
You're getting doctor money for this, man.
It's two campaigns that were roughly the same, and it's also an incumbency, by the way.
It's just an incumbency crisis.
It's an incumbency on our end that is doubling down on the mistakes made by the Biden presidency. And the only lesson they want to learn, because they will do what they want to do, because they have an ideology, they just refuse to acknowledge it, is they have their scapegoat for when this all goes wrong. You can see it happening now. All of these columns that are being written by people like John Harris or like DNC people who are talking to MSNBC and saying, well, the Kamala campaign was far too woke. This is also happening. This is happening on both sides of the Atlantic.
Whatever that means.
All of the social liberalism that has advanced in the last 40 years, that's the death knell of these parties being willing to stomach social liberalism, because guess what? These are parties of transphobes and homophobes and racists who think that that used to be bad politics, and you have to soft sell it. And now they're saying, great, we don't have to soft sell it anymore, because we've now decided that like the market that we're trying to triangulate around, we've now just, these people have been blamed for our losses. So now we can finally fully triangulate away from them. And again, to say, you're not going to be able to stand up for those rights because the only people who are allowed to form any kind of opinion, who are allowed to put ideology in the ideology hole, are the right. So if you're always triangulating around them and to say, okay, well, what does the average voter think? Who put the ideology in the ideology hole in the average voter? It's the right. And so you can fight it or you can try to acquiesce to it at every turn. And guess what? These people have been acquiescing to it for a long time. And so saying that, well, we just didn't acquiesce hard enough, I guess, seems pretty fucking stupid to me.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the first election in a couple of cycles where there hasn't been like an insurgent challenge from the left. Like he had Bernie in the last 2 rounds, and Kamala was, when she was running last time, was saying things like, Medicare for all and banning fracking and things like that. Whereas this time there's no left challenge at all. And she was like implying that she would utilize Castle doctrine on intruders and things like that. And I have a clip actually.
I have a Glock.
Which it's my favorite clip of her. And it's like, it's the same as how like the Soviet Union existing meant that workers' rights in the West got better because like the threat was always present. This is what happens when the threat is gone, when like there's no left to challenge and it's just right, it sets the agenda, and then the middle, which claim to be the left, go, great, looks good to me, fuck the wokes, get rid of pronouns.
Well, I think this is great. We can have Starmer, he'll be like, well, I think we can learn a very important lesson from the US election result, which is that the people wanted Biden. So I will be taking on more and more aspects of the way he ruled as president. I will be getting chemically induced dementia. I'm going to be forgetting where I am, when it is, who I'm speaking to. I'm going to confuse the names of world leaders. That's what the people want, and that's what I'll give them.
To be fair, if they just started releasing videos of like Starmer like wandering vaguely around, I might start liking him a little bit more.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Starmer is going to be the first prime minister to use whippets as a performance-enhancing drug.
I was gonna say, do you have a Musk equivalent? Do you guys have like a prominent billionaire who just like kind of wanders in and out? And
it's gonna be Musk, mate.
It's like so many things. It's like creeping Americanization. It's like we have your one. The only one we have is like an author, and she's not like as industrially important. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Peter Mandelson's going on the newsagents, and Keir Starmer's going to the newsagents for some whippets.
Yeah, that's right. Well, before we move on from John's article, he said, well, the cutting edge of left politics is associated with institutions of higher education. The result of this is an agenda expressed with judgmental arrogance based around behavioral codes, such as the correct use of pronouns, that are very hard for people outside highly educated circles to navigate.
That's such a funny line out of context, because if you'd have heard that 20 years ago, you'd have assumed that he just found grammar confusing. Oh, the fancy university graduates knowing when to use he and when to use her. Yeah, well, get fucking down in the muck with the rest of us, mate. I'll call everyone them. It's simple.
Yeah, of course. John Harris, graduate of the University of Oxford, he sympathizes. I sympathize. It's merely...
It's the
public.
Yeah, it's the mouth breathers.
Yeah.
The imagined...
People who like watched that conjunction junction video and their brains fell out of their ears. People who've never used a part of speech before. Not like me, John Harris, who's very smart and I'm just telling you what I think they want. I know we want good stuff. I'm afraid we just have to be transphobic. It's not my John Harris's fault. Just like Peter Mandelson, it's like, look, it's not my fault. I think that we should be lovely and liberal. Unfortunately, the dummies, they all hate it. The ones who didn't go, the stupids. Yeah. And that's the story, as opposed to being like, hey, it's not that complicated, firstly. And secondly, if the point of campaigning is to campaign rather than to simply take preferences as though they like emerge from holes in the ground fully formed, right? To understand that these reactionary preferences have been shaped. They're the result of a campaign. They're the result of a very successful campaign because it was never resisted, right? But they are the result of a campaign. And the idea that you are going to try to campaign by reacting to that campaign like a force of nature. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example of why I fucking hate John Harris. He basically looks at this claim, right? Okay, let's assume the left is only the cast of Donna Tartt's The Secret History, basically. That's the left. And then he says, but Trump got a multiracial, like multi-ethnic coalition, like multi-class coalition, which is true. We talked about why. But also he says, and he even got a lot of like Arab and Muslim voters. But John conveniently forgets why Arab and Muslim voters tended to vote progressive more or less as a bloc in recent years. They weren't always monolithic. A lot of them voted right throughout the 80s and 90s. Then we invaded Iraq, and there was a wave of Islamophobia that swept America and the UK. And then, wouldn't you know it, a lot of like Arabs and Muslims started voting for more progressive parties that were opposing the war.
Yeah.
Crucially, this is more so in the US than the UK, right? Where where the dynamics of this are different. But in the US, that's not just something that is natural. It's not something that's been in place for a long time. It was a reaction to a thing.
Yeah. It's like you will lose the votes if you don't continue to like present people with things to vote for.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a natural block you can rely on.
And I mean, fucking the conclusion, which is the next time you see someone on the left, which by the way, we all have to be responsible for, because if you're progressive, you're a member of a political party and a representative of that political party all the time.
Well, we're all in one big polycule.
Yeah.
So we have to hold each other accountable.
The next time you see someone on the left combusting with self-righteous fury on the, and I can hear his cocked eyebrow on this one, hellscape, now known as X, the everything app, it's worth remembering that its current owner is Elon Musk, who may be about to assist Trump in massively cutting U.S. public spending while cackling at the weaknesses of the president's enemies. And it's like, yeah, so don't combust his self-righteous fury on Twitter is the advice from John Harris.
Like, what?
Yeah, awesome.
Well,
Thank
sick,
you.
man. Yeah, great.
I think Elon Musk will
Don't
succeed.
be woke, guys. Don't be woke.
Just try shutting up. How about that?
He's done a great job on cutting the advertising spending on X, the everything app.
Yeah. And you know, the campaign that lumps every progressive person into the same like hateable bundle, that also is a campaign. Like newspaper owners have been doing it since like Hearst and Luce. Like these press machines have done this for a long time. The tactic is basically as old as the New Deal, more or less. The reason it works so well is that there isn't a left that can actually stand up to it. So the left is just whatever the right's campaign says it is. But that's not because the left is too strong. It's because it's very weak. God damn.
Yep.
I have a Glock.
You know, I've also been thinking about the ways in which various consultants or people adjacent to consultants have been readjusting their focus, right? I think, you know, over the past week, there's been a bit of a row because a bunch of consultants are saying, well, the real reason why Kamala lost is because she was listening to antitrust enforcers, you know, and she was saying like, you know, companies shouldn't be too big. She was scaring capital. She was, you know, sending signals to billionaires and to, you know, entrepreneurs that she wasn't really on their side, even though, of course, Democrats, you know, had massive gains in voters who made $100,000 or more precisely because of the pivot away from messaging that speaks to anyone who doesn't play around in the stock market, right? Or who doesn't play around with hordes of or smogging hordes of wealth, you know? So I think one thing I'm curious about is if they're going to settle on some sort of group to blame, or like you're talking about, because the left is too weak and for resistance to these sort of narratives, they're just going to constantly form it and reform it. So it's like, oh, people don't like the antitrust narrative. Okay, it's because she was too woke and she was talking about pronouns. Oh, they don't like the pronoun narrative. It's because they are out of touch with the working class. So they don't like that narrative going in, going back, going in, going back to whatever they think will work for this triangulation you were talking about, where you can just fill it with more conservative propaganda and turn whatever vestige of liberal party exists into, you know, another wing of this business operation.
To jettison that at last is what they've always wanted to do, and now they can.
Yeah.
Now they get to have like, you know, I don't know, more like ketamine data parties or whatever the fuck that is that they do.
Oh my God.
I want to talk about a startup, and then I want to read a little article. The startup, and this is very TF season 1. It's so fun. It's called Black Wolf, and they say, we didn't reinvent ride hailing. We just made it safer. I'd like you to think, how did they make ride hailing safer? Starting, of course, with our guest.
Is there a camera that's always on?
Oh no, this is an American company, if that helps. Devon.
Oh God.
Okay. Season 1, so it's a physical thing. I'm thinking big foam finger so you can flag down taxis easier.
No, it is also a ride hailing service. It's just a very safe and secure ride hailing service.
Only the like F100 like tank cars that they sell in America now. Ride hailing, but just for them.
Milo.
Yeah. Every rider is given a wolf that they're in command of. So if the driver tries anything, they can just have him torn to shreds by an apex
Nice,
predator. Yeah.
Okay, that would actually be kind. So you're saying that that basically, okay, imagine the car. It's like the car in Death Proof. There's like a perspex box. The driver is driving. There's a big perspex box in the front seat which contains a wolf, and then in the back seat, the passenger is in their own separate perspex box.
Yeah, and they have like a button that releases the wolf.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
No.
Right.
No, that's not the company. They haven't
well, it
done
should
that.
be.
Yeah.
Can we write into them? Do they have a suggestion box?
So, no, Black Wolf, we didn't just reinvent ride-hailing, we made it safer. We made ride-hailing safer by only hiring drivers with experience in the military, law enforcement, or the security sector.
Oh, fuck.
Yes.
I think I did see this, actually.
So, unlike major ride-hailing companies that often hire without rigorous standards, Black Wolf is committed to providing a safer, more reliable experience. With Black Wolf, safety isn't optional, it's the standard. So, you have professionalism, safety, and peace of mind. That's what they offer. So, do you want to hear about the 3 tiers that Black Wolf offers? Because, look, we're a company, a ride-hailing company.
Yeah, shit. Reserve, Army, SAS.
SEAL Team 6, and they just crash the car into the nearest median.
Yeah.
I've got a deniable driver. He's got a little black bar across his eyes. Like, he can't see where he's going. It's terrible.
Oh my god.
So there's also the 5th tier Fort Bragg where they keep making stops for some reason. Like they won't just go right to where I'm going. They keep making stops and getting out and coming back, and they look really agitated but excited.
Yeah, you honk at this guy, he gets out of the car calmly, goes over to whoever honked at him, empties the clip, goes back in. You're safe. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Ed has the closest read on the company's service offering so far.
I asked the driver why he didn't put the handbrake on, and he just waggled his index finger at me and said, "This is my safety."
So, Black Wolf Comfort, of course, offers quality rides and nice everyday vehicles with screen drivers. Black Wolf Premium offers premium vehicles with screen drivers and a refined experience. But the 3rd tier, the most expensive, Black Wolf Arms.
What? What?
Yes. It's the video of the guy shooting his gun out of the car.
Oh my god.
Anything happens.
Like, what do you
ready to rock and roll at the drop of a hat.
What do you think they're gonna do?
Oh my god.
Start blasting?
I'm not more safer in a ride-sharing app if my Uber dude is strapped.
Yeah.
That's actually not making me safer.
Are you fucking kidding me? That's unbelievable.
You know, police officers who are off duty, very safe to be around.
Right. Yeah, Google 48% police officers. That's how many. That's how many members.
That's how many have signed up for this service. Yeah, check it out.
Premium vehicles with screen drivers plus added protection for unmatched peace of mind, with drivers who hold an active security license in their state, ensuring discreet protection for passengers seeking the highest level of safety. Why choose armed? For those who prioritize safety above all, Black Wolf offers the ultimate secure travel options, ensuring you and your loved ones are protected by experts. Which again is just sweet.
And again, this is an Uber, right? This is like, I need to go to the shops.
Yeah.
With a gun. The fucking gun.
Or like, I've been like, had a big night out. I had a great time seeing Ben Clock, and now I'm being picked up by Ben Glock, which is great.
Getting into my Uber, and the driver turns to me and goes,
I have a Glock.
Look, we all have to, look, she wasn't president, and she had to get a job, so...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, there you go. That would be pretty cool. My zanned out armed driver.
Yeah.
And the 4th tier, there's no shell shock, no PTSD. It's just the driver who's all he does is he white grips the wheel when he's in the middle of traffic on the fucking expressway in New York. That's it.
I always wanted to get a ride in the green Civic from Sicario with the cartel guys in it.
What about former president armed driver? You know, you get in the car and it's like, hey, you can feel safe with me. I'm strapped up like Hillary on my birthday.
Yeah, or of course, royalty armed driver.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
God, bloody hell, get in. You should probably know I'm pissed. But anyway, they can't stop me. I'm the king. There's not even a number plate on these.
Chuck wouldn't have a gun. He'd have like a scimitar or something.
Well, I can't get my fingers through the trigger guard. Yeah. That's why I carry this pike.
No, he'd have like a Purdy shotgun, like a shotgun that costs like 100,000 pounds. And then he'd be like, look, it takes a long time to load and aim. So I've rested it on the other passenger window. And if anyone comes this way, I'll blast them. Oh, fuck.
Anyway, if we get attacked by a grouse or a pheasant, we'll be absolutely fine.
One of their drivers is going to shoot up an intersection. I just know it in the bottom of my heart. How is this going to end well?
What do you mean, Ed? Driving in America is not one of the most enervating and frustrating experiences in the entire
When I'm in
world.
the car with other people who drive, I feel my mind warp with rage. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
That's why they call it road calm. Experiencing the calm of the road.
Yeah. Well, that's why you should drink and drive, because it calms you down while you're driving.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's a tier where they drink.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. It's like, look, you can get Black Wolf armed, but they're stressed and they have PTSD. You should get Black Wolf armed and drunk.
That's right.
Black Wolf Arm Premium Plus. Your driver will drive blackout drunk.
Yeah, that's right.
Shooting. I'm the king of the highway, just shooting at lights and whatever else is around.
Yeah.
Black Wolf Armed Premium is their armed and drunk. Black Wolf Armed Premium Plus is their armed and drunk, and you're guaranteed an empty magazine at the end of the ride. Black Wolf Armed Premium Plus Select is they're drunk on a liquor of your choice.
Right.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, and they will empty the magazine at the end of the ride.
If there are any left, you get to empty.
Well,
the
I was going to
magazine.
say, and it will be at a target of your choice.
Okay, so then Black Wolf Armored Premium Plus Select Preferred, you get to use the gun.
Okay.
You get to ride in the shotgun with a shotgun. And
Fuck yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
The front
There you
passenger
go.
seat, just take the gun.
If they're listening,
Yeah.
Black
Okay.
Wolf, if you're listening, can you please, before we move on, because I really want to read this article, there were two of items in their FAQ that I thought were fucking hilarious. Yeah.
Will it be holstered? No.
Will you hesitate to let that thing bark? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Any fucking driver that hesitates to let that thing bark, you can log in the app.
this is for your
straight away.
safety.
Get them out of here.
I open fire immediately on anyone with one of those P plates on the back of their car. Have a little fucking self-respect.
So, can I upgrade or change my service level during a ride? It's like the implication that like what? Can I request that like a call of
Become strapped.
if the ride has begun, but I've decided that I would like my driver to be armed. Can I request a drop of guns and ammunition to my location?
Maybe he just gets it out of the glove box.
He gets text a code to go in the glove box, and he pulls up the gun.
Oh, I see you've unlocked
Look, and
premium.
approve.
I like the implication of this would be that the DLC gun doesn't work even in a life or death situation. Like you are being attacked by MS-13 somehow, but you haven't upgraded your ride, so the driver's not allowed to access the gun in the glove compartment. He's like, please just pay the $5, and you're like, no, I don't want to.
Please, can I just give you cash and you take out the gun? No, you needs to be through the app.
Sorry, love, I'm late. I got scared during the trip, and I requested a care package drop of a Mac 11. So we had to drive 4 hours out of the way to a secure location and come back. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, we were getting back home from the shop and my Uber driver got a fucking tac nuke. He was on fire.
Yo, my Uber driver's running riot. Yeah, it was great. 5 stars. I got home 2 minutes earlier than planned, and we got a kill streak.
Sorry, I'm late, guys. We picked up a 3-star wanted level in the Uber. We're being pursued by a police helicopter.
Obviously, they say, no, you can't upgrade to Black Wolf armed mid-trip.
Oh,
That's a shame.
come on.
They don't have the funding for that yet.
Second one. Does Black Wolf offer rides for special events or group transportation? To which they say, yes, absolutely. So,
Sick.
I mean, you can have your
What's the biggest vehicle?
your it's just a tank.
Yeah.
Your bachelorette party is gonna go to like the club in like an infantry fighting vehicle.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Deploy to the club.
So, for the last time, Sandra, after you load the cannon, lean back and fold your arms. That thing doesn't fuck about. The stag party's up ahead.
UAV inbound. You've got to open the app. You've got to buy an upgrade. You've got to buy an upgrade. So,
Yeah. I've spilt the chocolate willies, Sandra. Sorry, I was focusing on the shells.
The CEO of Black Wolf, if you scroll down, his most recent Instagram picture is, of course, him being photographed with Tucker Carlson.
fuck yeah.
But my favorite Instagram comment is, of course, are passengers also allowed to be armed? Yeah.
Okay.
Someone else responded saying Second Amendment says
Yeah,
yes.
that's right.
Cool.
Yeah, they're right.
Genuinely surprised the CEO is black. Is he the Black Wolf? Like, what's going on?
I guess so. He's our precious operator.
I was surprised. Looking at the phone.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example, I think, of the kind of parallel economy that's grown up in the last 5 years of people responding to of especially like tech companies responding to the perceived liberalness of their industry by creating like alternatives. And sometimes those alternatives are like Rumble, where they are sort of balkanized platforms that just don't and will never cater to like larger audiences, because they, even though like so much of modern conservatism is experienced by so many people is about like bugging the people around you and annoying them basically, or feeling completely unsafe in anyone else's presence with like, you know, people arguing about like like being scared to go on the subway is like a manly conservative trait or whatever. These companies emerge. They can be like Rumble, which is like, yeah, these like balkanized islands of the internet that are like liberal free zones, but with no liberals, there's no libs to trigger. Or they can be like Black Wolf, where it's like, this is an insane idea come up with by a weird person. Or they can be something like, you know, Glorify, which is, you know, fails because everybody involved couldn't stop backstabbing one another and trying to make a Christian bank.
Oh, it's like the Conservative Party.
Yeah. Now, the FT has recently released this article on the parallel economy that I thought it would be interesting to talk about here, right? So this is a group of allies from Trump's inner circle are looking to profit from his re-election, wouldn't you say, and the resurgent movement to the U.S. with a network of companies positioned to appeal to anti-woke sentiment, such as Wall Streeter and campaign megadonor Omid Malik, former Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler, Donald Trump's own son, who have financed a company called Public Square, which is an e-commerce platform similar to Amazon or eBay for users who value, quote, life, family, and freedom, but mainly exists as a financer of gun sales.
Amazing.
Okay.
So this is the chair of Public Square said, I was proven correct that there were enough people who felt the way we were talking about from a political and cultural standpoint. He's also the founder of 1789 Capital, an anti-ESG investment firm. So like a company that invests only in polluting companies to trigger the libs.
It only invests in amounts of 1789.
It's an open question if they feel that way economically and whether the political movement will translate into commerce, but I believe it will. The CEO of Public Square, again, a gun financing website, said, we get to be the economic manifestation of the electoral victory that took place last week, and we've already seen that drive growth for our business even in the past 7 days.
Wait, what does gun financing mean? Are people like buying a Glock on Klarna?
Yeah.
Are people paying in easy installments?
Guns are very expensive.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. It just seems weird to just only finance guns.
Well, but that's the thing. Right? You're trying to be an unwoke Amazon, but that never works because you're trying.
People use normal Amazon for the normal stuff.
Yeah. You're not going to get like, oh, I'm going to get a based Chad felt feet for my table.
Well, that is kind of a believable one of those like Chinese factory names that you would get on, like based Chad felt feet for table.
Yeah. These felt feet for table. They're all in the shape of the crying liberal from the meme from the first Trump presidency. And you can put them under your table, and then you could know that your table is owning the libs. It's a strange way to be. Like, dare I go back to a apparently failed campaign strategy? It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
And
I can't buy my beef tallow from Amazon. What if they've put estrogen in it or something? I got to get it from the gun website.
Yeah.
I'm lubing up my Glock with beef tallow.
Yeah. What if the Glock becomes a woman?
Smart.
You know?
Yeah.
No, they can't snatch it off you if it's lubed up.
That's right.
Slip
Yeah,
right
it's
out
like
of their
the
hands.
Bronson logic extended to the Glock.
Chris Pavlovsky, the chief executive of Rumble, said he'd, quote, never been more optimistic about our opportunity. Cancel culture is dead. Free speech is now mainstream, and Rumble is in the driver's seat. But the thing is, and we've seen this in every stage, right? And Ed, you've talked about this as well in some of your writing. So many tech executives have lined up to kowtow to Trump, right? With Bezos calling him, basically declining to have the Washington Post endorse, which is its own box of hammers. Musk already there. Sundar Pichai calling Trump day one. And, you know, I mean, Trump also having some fun claims about Sundar Pichai, where he said that Sundar Pichai personally called him to congratulate him on working at the McDonald's, saying, quote, this McDonald's thing, it's one of the biggest thing we've ever seen on Google. Trump said Pichai told him.
Nothing's ever been Googled more. No one's ever Googled anything more. Not even what's the time.
I actually got a call from Sundar, who's great, from Google. He's a great guy, very smart, the head of Google. And he said, sir, I just want to tell you, what you did with the McDonald's was one of the biggest events we've ever had at the Google. Biggest ever image in terms of Google.
Yeah, that's right. They're making it a Google Doodle, Trump handing out the McDonald's.
Yeah, the most ever. Now, the thing that I'm getting at here is that all of these companies, they only exist in relation to the perception that like Amazon is woke and won't sell you beef tallow. But the difference is not that, oh, well, Trump's been elected, woke is dead, everyone's going to start buying stuff, all their Amazon stuff on the gun financing website. It's that the Amazon also is seen where the wind is blowing and they're going to like, they're going to do what they need to do. And the gun financing website is, if anything, less necessary.
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting part of the parallel economy, right? Growing because of the perception of this crusade against right-wingers. Will it shrink or continue? Especially because, Trump, started some, and then Biden started some antitrust lawsuits against a lot of big tech firms. I'm wondering if Trump's handling of them is also going to shift people's perception of whether or not, at least in the parallel economy, these platforms are too woke. Like, if Trump doesn't go after them, does that mean it's safe to go back? They care about free speech. They care about conservatives. It's time for us to get our guns on wherever the fuck else you would get them.
The president went in and personally intervened to make Amazon not scary for me.
Right. I think that's a large question that I'm wondering about now, especially because it feels like these, whether it's woke and what Trump does and what Trump does, and whether that means it's woke, are going to feed off of each other, especially with the line of CEOs that, kiss the ring like they did in 2016,
If we want to sort of draw all these things together, right? The stuff that Peter, whether it's Peter Mandelson, whether it's the DNC, John Harris, or whether it's investors who are, being like, should we invest in Howard Lutnick's SPAC of Rumble, I guess, because woke is dead now or whatever. They're all really just arguing about the extent to which it is now mainstream to not even pretend that you are not a bigot of some kind.
Right.
That bigotry is to be openly celebrated, largely because the political organizations that have rules, members, discipline, funding, that field candidates in elections, or that try to do things and campaign and set priorities, have campaigned largely on fighting a voluntary rearguard action because they were basically taken over by the other side in a few decades ago, right? So what we're seeing with the questions about things like Rumble or how woke should the campaign be or whatever are all incredibly downstream from that one fact, which is that civil rights of any kind, whether that's rights for racial or sexual minorities, and also economic rights, right? That's whether that's economic rights being won by, like unions and worker agitation and stuff. All of these things are just simply not being campaigned on. Yep. They are not being campaigned on at all. And the argument is, well, if you campaign on it, then they'll oppose it and we'll lose. So we have to campaign on what they campaign on. And, the part of that of saying, because there's no campaigning organization, everybody with an opinion is seen as campaigning, or every company that has an HR or content moderation policy that's designed to appeal to advertisers, or that's designed to prevent lawsuits. Right? All of that, all lumped into the same sort of big morass of campaigning organizations. Then, of course, something like Rumble is going to be able to claim a victim complex from YouTube when really it's just, well, Bank of America doesn't want to advertise next to Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
And, the sustained campaign has been the Bank of America should be okay to advertise next to Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump, it emerged this week, back to the article, that Donald Trump Jr. has chosen to join 1789 Capital rather than be part of his father's team in the White House. They're calling him...
He thought it was about 301 capitals less, though, to be fair to him.
The absolute most useful investment analyst, I think, probably ever hired by any bank ever. By any fund ever.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, this is... You should see him price an asset. The firm, founded in 2022, has only one investment listed on the private markets database, which is Tucker Carlson's private streaming network.
Amazing.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Other companies in this space have struggled to build sustainable business models. They're dependent on niche user bases, such as the anti-woke bank Glorify, backed by Peter Thiel, closed down after just 3 months in operation. They all... We did a live show about that company a couple of years ago. They all just couldn't stop betraying each other.
Oh, they were like the Eagles.
You know how banks are.
Experts say the monetization approach of the surviving bigger groups has been scattergun. Public Square gets the bulk of its revenue now from being a Klarna-like fintech for guns, which some have dubbed shoot now, pay later.
Oh my God.
Look, if you're doing suicide by cop, it's a free gun.
Yeah.
Technically.
Look, that is very true. Yeah. The debt dies with the owner.
Yeah.
What about if the driver of your Uber has got his gun on finance? Can that cause any complications? I want to ask that on their website.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't believe I'm trying to protect you from an assailant who's in this very terrifying city. Unfortunately, my gun just got repossessed by Public Square, so I'm afraid the ride has been downgraded to a comfort.
Yeah, the wokerati have repossessed my gun.
Public Square also acquired anti-abortion diaper brand Every Life last year, which was co-founded by Republican strategist Nick Ayers.
Anti-abortion diaper brand. Sorry. Well, I mean, I guess abortion is bad for the business model of a diaper brand. I will concede that.
I feel like if you're buying a diaper, it's already...
It's like baked into the process. Yeah.
By the way, I love babies. Yeah, I know, man. You get a diaper. Can you...
Buying diapers, be like, I didn't abort this one. Like, okay, yeah, I know, man. I kind of guessed.
That'll be $87.92, please.
The diaper that kills babies. The avowedly pro. Like, no, you failed to abort this baby, but don't worry, we'll finish the job.
Yeah, plan C,
Weirdly, it's also called Every Life. It's so confusing. We started Every Life with a simple mission to create clean premium baby products that protect and celebrate every miraculous life. And of course, what they do is then they use their profits to campaign against reproductive health care and stuff like this.
Cool.
Yeah, they're very here's the mom changes the baby, the dad sets an example, which is also great. And of course,
by not changing the baby, this baby's a boy. He needs to learn early on that domestic labor's not for him. Yeah. He needs to see his dad doing cool stuff like smoking cigars and drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sets an example by not ever needing to get his diaper changed, I guess. Yeah. The baby's just watching that being like, oh, I see.
I see. And
I should be aiming for that.
He's going to work drinking a fifth of vodka and carrying a shotgun. All right. Enjoy being a rideshare driver. Of course, they say.
That's it. Yeah.
They don't have fragrances, dyes, lotions, latex, parabens, phtalates, or elemental chlorine in these diapers. So, again, back to the right-wing natural crunchiness.
RFK's face is going to appear on these brands, isn't it? RFK approved on every one of these fucking parallel economy things.
These guys fucking hate halogens. No chlorine, no fluorine. I don't know what their opinions are about bromine. I haven't asked.
The RFK Jr. endorsed baby diaper comes with leg openings that do support you if you've been racked by polio. The company's namesake online marketplace... Thank you. Offers everything from U.S.-made home goods and health supplements to joggers with hidden pockets for concealed weapons and models of Civil War soldiers raising Confederate flags.
Oh my God.
For history.
For history.
Yeah.
Yeah. It comes with a copy of Birth of a Nation for history.
Yeah. It was an important move. Look, Leni Riefenstahl's a female director. That's kind of woke-ish.
Yeah, they played it in the White House, and you can play it in your house.
Yeah.
Everyone in the Confederacy was wearing these anti-abortion diapers. If shitting themselves good enough for them, sure as hell good enough for me. Why, I'm shitting myself right now, boy.
Strive's first investment offering, an energy ETF with the ticker DRLL, meaning they're investing only in polluting industries,
Sick.
pushed what it called a post-ESG mandate by investing in U.S. fossil fuel companies. Including fees, the fund has underperformed the S&P, its benchmark, over the past 12 months and since its inception. So it's a great way to just donate money to oil companies, I guess.
It's a way to just lose money.
Yeah. Rumble runs advertising, offers cloud services, and has launched its own brands, including Be Naked, a male wellness brand that offers supplements promising, quote, primal strength, and 5G Free, which says it offers electromagnetic field wellness solution.
Wow.
Be naked.
Be naked.
Yeah.
Be naked. Well, they're just inventing Germany from first principles. Like, you're naked all the time and you're terrified of radio waves. Like, yeah.
Shares in Public Square and Rumble have fallen this week to about 20% and 15% respectively, which despite Trump's victory, their quarterly results included heavy losses. In the first 9 months of this year, Public Square said its sales have grown to $16 million from just under $3 million a year ago. But in order to generate that growth, the company spent $14 million on marketing and $30 $33 million on salaries.
All right. Okay.
Amazing. Great.
That'll be budget. Just
Rumble, which is popular among Trump's base, but major advertisers avoid it because of its hands-off approach to moderation, posted $25 million in third quarter revenues, but missed Wall Street expectations with $31.5 million of losses.
Oh my God.
Old Glory Bank, an Oklahoma-based
no.
pro-America online lender that was founded by Ben Carson and country music star John Rich, said it had a rush of account openings in the week following the election.
What better guy to found a bank than a guy called John Rich? He could back that thing up.
Yeah.
Ben Carson, the brain surgeon. Like, cool. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's cool that guy's one of like the greatest brain surgeons to ever live, by the way. It's just
Amazing.
cool.
Talk about the art, not the artist. We won at the ballot box, said Old Glory Bank chief executive Mike Ring.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, Rich and Ring. These same customers are saying we're now going to vote for the freedom economy with our dollars. So this is the freedom economy, I guess, that's being built here. And, we've seen it, not work before. But you know what? I think I'm ready to get a Black Wolf car to the new left wing. I have to make sure if I'm going to go to like the progressive rally here, the progressive rally that we all talk about, where all the progressives go, the teachers, the HR executives, the student protesters, university professors, and also people who are like in organized political organizations. I'm going to make sure I get out of a Black Wolf armed so that they see that I'm taking conservative fear about ever leaving the house seriously. All right. I think that's about all the time we have for today. But I want to thank, number one, Ed from This Machine Kills for coming on and talking to us a little bit about Elon, the tech embrace of Trump, and the freedom economy.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. This is really fascinating. I'm excited to get it on the ground floor for the parallel Christian, anti-woke, pro-oil, pro-gun, anti-abortion economy. I'm here for it.
And we'll be sending you your sample pack of diapers as a thank you gift for coming on.
I'm going to get my Glock and I'm going to get a car and sign up for Black Wolf.
We've sent you a Be Naked pack of vitamins. We've also sent you something that you can cower from from radio waves under. It's going to be great.
I'm going to be waving my gun around in the car. They're going to be like, "What's up? I'm naked. I promise strength.
I'm naked and
It's the freedom economy.
I'm naked and I've been penetrated by radio waves. Please, you have to let me through. I have a gun.
Give me your phone."
Operating the safest rideshare in this fucking country.
I'm naked, so you can see I'm armed, apart from this diaper, which stops me from going work.
Leaning back and just sort of casually pointing the gun at the rideshare customer, being like, "Hey, the phone hurts me. Do you mind just putting it out the window?"
Yeah. Locked just in this guy's diaper waistband, like in the back.
I love talking about Black Wolf. That's one of my favorite things.
This is amazing.
Yeah. Also, Devon, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, if only people want to hear more of me on Trash Future this week.
Yeah, well,
they can. Well, I mean, they like physically this week they need to get out there to London.
Yeah, take a Black Wolf.
Yeah. Absolutely. If you want to hear more of me, I've got this podcast called Kill James Bond with Nova. It's pretty good. Yeah. We just started a new season talking about heist films, and it rocks. We talked about Heat.
I'm trying to convince them to watch Exit Wounds starring Steven Seagal from 2001.
It'll happen.
The last Hollywood movie Steven Seagal was allowed to do before they said, okay, you have to go live in the Balkans now.
Yeah. Speaking of an armed man in a diaper, Steven Seagal.
Yeah. It was great. It was starring Steven Seagal and DMX and was directed by John Woo's Polish equivalent. It was set in Toronto and it was full of Toronto landmarks. It was filmed in Toronto, not set in Toronto, full of Toronto landmarks.
John Woo's Polish equivalent. Also, if you're listening to this, I am in Southend tonight. If you're listening to this on Tuesday the 19th, please come to that. Also, Oxford on Thursday the 21st, Liverpool Friday 22nd, and Manchester Saturday 23rd. And then obviously also at the live show with Riley, Devon, November, and producer Nate on Sunday the 24th.
Yeah, where are you going to be tonight, Monday, Milo, in case people want to find you tonight?
I'm just going to be at home repairing the wound in my head that was reopened by me scoffing at the guy from The Line getting fired for going over budget.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being on, and thank you for listening. If you liked this, don't forget there is a second episode every week. It comes out in a few days on the Patreon. It's $5 a month. You can listen to it, and indeed you should. That's all the end matter. That's all the thankings. We'll see you on the Patreon episode in a few days. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.